Next function is the calculate table function. What is calculate table function? What is the difference between calculate and calculate table function? First of all, the calculate table function, what it does is it takes an input as an expression that evaluates to a table and returns a table. As the name suggests, the calculate table function returns a table, whereas the calculate function returns a scalar value. What do you mean by scalar value? Single value. The calculate function returns a single value, whereas the calculate table function, as the name suggests, returns a table. In the case of calculate table, you know the first one is your the table expression. This is your table, comma, I have used the Boolean function here, right? So if I say year equal to 2022. So in this table, you select only year 2022 data, subset of the data only you take it, and then apply the sum of sales. This is a simple example, okay? Other example is, calculate table, the first argument transaction table name, comma, you can use this condition. So in that case, the calculate table will return the records which are having the quantity greater than 1 in it. Or if you want to, let's say in your data set, you have the huge volume of data. You want to take the subset of the data based on some filtering condition. That kind of situation also you can go for calculate table. The first argument is mandatory, and second options are, second arguments are optional, like your calculate function. Okay. And here, like calculate function, you can use a Boolean filter, you can use a table filter, you can use a filter modification functions. So what is the difference between calculate and calculate tool? Very good question, right? The calculate function takes an input as an expression that evaluates to a scalar and returns a scalar value. Whereas in the case of calculate table, it takes an input as an expression that evaluates to a table. In this case, it evaluates to an expression, whereas it evaluates to an entire table and returns a table. That is the difference between these two. In simple term or one-liner, calculate returns a single value, which is nothing but a scalar. It returns a table. That is the difference between these two. In the intro, they'll ask you, what is the difference between calculate and table? And the next question is, okay, everything is fine. And what is the calculate table? What kind of scenario that you will be using the calculate table? Okay, and for example, so okay, this is a filter function. We can use the calculate table function like the calculate function to modify the filter context for an entire table. Okay, it takes the two arguments, like I said. Okay, it takes the first argument as the table to be filtered, and the second argument is an expression that defines your new filter context. That's all. Okay. For example, let's say you have a sales table and you want to calculate the total sales amount for a specific product category and region. We can use the calculate function, okay, and to create a new table which consists of the sales data for the select or specific category or a region. Okay. And okay, for this, I will give you some example. Okay, calculate table. What I'm going to do is I just go to the Power BI desktop. Sorry, Power BI desktop software. I just closed it 1 second. Power BI desktop. Good that it opened it now. Let me do one thing. I will. Let me click on the new thing. what I will do is in this case, since the calculate table returns a table, we cannot create a measure. I'm going to select the modeling ribbon. So this is where we can create the measure, isn't it? And you can create a measure and you can create the table also. Okay. This is called your measure. This is a calculated table. So calculated column, if you go to the data view and if you create any new column along with the exist column, that is what your calculated column. And this is what the calculator column. New column is a calculator column, is a calculated measure, this is a calculated table. This time we are going to create a new table. Okay. Calculated table. In this case, what I will do is I'm going to say Bangalore sales data. Okay, here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say calculated table to understand CT. Okay, and here calculate, but don't follow this naming convention. Okay, the CT is for our learning purpose. The first argument is supposed to be a table, and in this case, the table I'm going to say sales fact table, comma, in the sales fact table, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the location key is equivalent to BLR. I'm going to press enter. Okay, in this case, this expression refers to column is sales fact a month. The expression refers to column of the sales fact month, which has an error. Okay, there is an error in this data set. Okay, let me do one thing. What is the problem here? In the sales fact table, month and all coming into picture. Okay, here's something wrong here. There is a calculated column here. What I will do is I'll just remove it. Okay, some column, delete from that is not required. Okay, that I use it for some demo purpose. Okay. So now it is working fine, right? No error. Now, how do I check whether this one? So on the left side, obviously you need to go and check it. BLR sales data. Look here, whatever I have created it here, you can see it here. Okay, it's a table. Look here, it is not returning a single value, unlike a measure. In the case of measure, you will find only the measure name. So this is kind of your measure, right? But here, it returned the calculate table function, returned a table. That table consists of only the Bangalore data, but it consists of all the columns that belong to sales fact table, where the data related to location key Bangalore only got stored. So to take this subset of that, we have, we can use this function, calculate function, okay, calculate table function. You can go to the data view and then select the Bangalore sales data CT, right? This is our calculate table. Look here, this data set consists of only the table, the calculate, sorry, it consists of only the Bangalore location data in it. Got it? Fine. So now, is there any possibility that I can use the calculate table as per the calculate function? Is it possible to do that? Let us try that one. So does that mean do I have to use the calculated table to create a table all the time? Or is it possible for me to use the calculate table as part of the measure? You remember in the case of measure, when I create the measure in the previous session, as part of the calculate table, I use the filter function, isn't it? Even in the case of sumx function, I've used something called filter as a first argument, because the sumx function is an iterative function. Whichever function ends with x, the first argument it takes as a table. Instead of giving the table itself as an argument, we can use a filter function. The filter function selects only the subset of the data and it returns a virtual table. Which one? The filter function also returns a table. Now the question is, what is the difference between calculate table and filter function? Yes, Rupa, you have a very good question, right? Filter function also returns a table, calculate table also return a function. What is the difference between these two? That we will see it little later. Now the question is there any way can I use a calculate table as part of measure like how I use the filter function? Let us give it a try. Okay, I'm going to click on the new measure. I just say the something like total sales for Bangalore, something like measure. Okay. In this case, I use the calculate function. In the calculate function, the first argument, I'm going to use sum function. Here the sales amount, okay, sales amount is selected here. Close this, the sum of sales amount. And next one is I'm going to use a calculate table. For, compute the or calculate the sum of total sales on this subset of the data. So because your filter is your calculate table, okay. Let's see, what I do is I will just hold the Alt key and press enter so that it will be more readable. I just move this somewhere here, calculate table. And the calculate table, the first argument supposed to be your table name. Sorry, not this one. I just pressed it here. And what I will do is here in the sales fact table, comma, here I'm going to use the sales fact table location key. You have the location key is equivalent to the Bangalore. You need to use the double quote in the where condition. Okay, I'm going to, sorry, I pressed enter mistakenly. You need to hold the Alt key and press enter. Okay, if you press enter mistakenly, it will get executed. Okay, anyhow, we put the parenthesis, the closed parenthesis on my behalf automatically. Okay, very good. So this closed parenthesis meant for the calculate table, and this one is meant for the calculate function. Okay, and now I press enter. And can we see any error here? No, nothing, right? You need to wait. Yes, very good. It has done a good job. So you can use a calculate table also as a filter. Okay, this is a table filter expression. Instead of using filter, you can use a calculate table also. Okay. You can use a calculate table function inside a calculate also. So now I just close this and I'm going to use chord visual because the calculate function returns only the scalar value, single value. Okay. Bangalore sales. So what was the name of that one? Okay, let me do one thing. I gave some name. Total sales, right? Total sales for Bangalore. Yes, this is what the measure I created. If you click on it, you can verify it here. You just click on it once. It will get opened up. Yeah, this is what I've used it. I just drag and drop this here. Okay. So 5.53K. This is what my Bangalore sales. So to conclude, using the calculate, you can use a calculate table as a filtering option in your calculate function. Instead of that, you can use a filter function also. Okay, you can use a filter function also. Okay, you can use either a filter function or the calculate table function. Okay. Hope you understood what is the calculate table, right? You can use it as a, you can use a calculate table to return a table wherein you want to store the subset of the data. That is possible with that. Okay. And also you can use it as a filter expression as part of your calculate function. Next one is the filter function.